This world is not yet ready for all that you will do. Your time will come, Diana. And everything will be different.
Citizens of the world,
I'm here to change your life.
anything you want, anything you dream of, you can have it.
You look like you saw a ghost. Diana, look at you. It's like not one day has passed.
I don't want to be like anyone. I want to be an apex predator.
You've always had everything, while people like me have had nothing. Well, now it's my turn. Get used to it.
I've never been one for rules. The answer is always more. The way I fly, they will never find us.
I forgot to tell you.
What?
Radar.
Will they shoot at us?
Barbara, what did you do?
You know, I'm not so keen on this one. I figure you are, but you know what? I'm ready to go.
I think we can do better.
Parachute pants?
Yeah,
Does everybody parachute now?
Hello everybody, sorry I'm moving my mic a little bit before we get started here. Welcome to my Wonder Woman 1984 movie review, or WW84. Whatever you would prefer to call it. So I saw this movie in theaters, no food or drink, but I saw it, and I have some things I'd like to say about it. I've been seeing a lot of negative comments about this movie on the internet, and I do want to state before getting into this that everyone has their own opinion. But you have to stress that. That is your opinion. So, one, I'm doing that right now. What I state in this movie review is my opinion. Nothing more, nothing less. I mean, if people agree, it can become something more, I guess. But I think that if you don't like a movie, or even if you do like a movie, you have to really state what you do and you don't like about that movie. If you don't, it's kind of an empty void, if you will. So, this movie, I will be getting into spoilers, but I will give my like grade and such before I go into the final spoiler talk. I'll make a very distinct marking about it. But this movie, and this might shock some people. This movie made me cry. At a couple points, actually, throughout the film. And I have not cried at a superhero film since Endgame, but I feel like Endgame really doesn't even count in that aspect, because Endgame was 10 years in the making. A full decade in the making to make me cry like I did. And I feel like for a movie that really hasn't had, this character, Wonder Woman, really hasn't had too much screen time, at least the newer DC one. I know there was an old TV show, I think, but the movie version of her that they've been putting on the last couple of years, she hasn't had too many outings. She's been in like 4 movies, and only one of them has been her own. So, to make me cry, and I guess that's the way I can describe this movie is more of a world movie, if you will, more than it is a Wonder Woman movie. As weird as that sounds, I feel like this is more of a world movie. If you don't know what that means, hopefully if you watch it, you'll understand what I mean. Now, part of the reason why I am doing this review now, I still need to do Paddington 2, as that was a given thing from Extra Life 2020. Someone donated, actually Knuckles McGinty was the username, donated for a Paddington 2 movie review. So don't worry, I will be getting to that. But the reason I'm doing this is because Wonder Woman 1984 is available on HBO Max only in certain areas. I think it's in the US. I don't know where it is, but if you have HBO Max and it's available on there, it says, I'm actually looking at it right now, it says it's only available until January 24th. So I want to get this out and give it some time so that people can look at it and make up their mind on whether they want to watch it if they already have an HBO Max subscription. Now, this movie has plot holes, and I can talk about one of them that I really grasp onto toward the end of the film that I can mention in a spoiler area. I'll leave it for there. But I really liked this movie, and I liked it more than the original. Now, I have to watch the original again, and don't worry, I will be doing an original Wonder Woman movie review at some point. But I kind of like going into this movie review not doing the first one first, because if I end up liking the first one more, then I can say, okay, well, I actually like the first one more. I did see it for the first time in a theater more recently, a couple years ago. I got the privilege of watching it in a movie theater. The first one. Not this one, the first one. And I liked it. I enjoyed it. But this movie hit me in the feels and had a whole different vibe from the first one. I think that's why people don't like it so much. But this movie has so many underlying themes and so many good themes and good messages to share. It's, I feel, the kind of movie that the world needs right now, to be honest. It's kind of, again, as I said, a world movie. So you have some characters, and if you've seen the trailer, which I put it before this, thankfully it doesn't give much away. Maxwell Lord, I believe his name is. We aren't going to talk too much into it, but he is a businessman who really wants to succeed in life. And, well, in his business. And his business is oil. People invest in his company to find oil, kind of idea. He has in this universe, he has a popular ad that plays on the TV over the airwaves. And this was back in 1984, or at least supposedly where it takes place. So they don't have as much as we do now. So airwaves, not internet, but just airwaves. You got Steve, I don't remember his last name, which is, I forgot Wonder Woman's actual name. Her boyfriend from the first film. Be pre-warned. I'm going to mention it now. You probably will get a couple of spoilers in this for Wonder Woman as well. If you haven't seen the first one, it's not too big. I'll wait to leave the spoiler till the spoiler section, even for the first one. So don't worry, I'm not going to spoil the first one yet. But we'll get to there in a moment. Steve, her boyfriend, I loved him in this movie. Chris Pine, I think, did a great job. And he's not very familiar with 1984, which if you see the movie, you'll understand, or I'll explain it more in the spoiler section. But he hasn't been in this time period that much, so you get to experience him experiencing things for the first time, like in the trailer, for example, what was it? Parachuting pants. He's like, what, does everyone parachute now? Or also in the trailer, radar. He does not know exactly how radar works and thinks he can hide from people as they're taking off in an airplane. So that's kind of things. That was great to see in the movie. That's always the comedic side of things, which I love. I love comedic movies. I love those types of movies. So that had that in this one. Another character I really liked was Barbara, played by Kristen Wiig. I don't know why my voice went like that. She was good in this movie. And Barbara's character, you might, I want to clarify this. You might hear people calling Barbara Cheetah. I believe that's the right name. They're the same character. So just so you're aware, they're the same character, just in case you want to have a differentiating mark on there. But when it comes to Barbara, I really liked her character. Again, we'll get more into her character, but when the movie starts off, she's what I like to call the invisible woman. And it's a very stereotypical thing in the world, I'd say. If you ever know someone or have been that someone in school or in life who is the unnoticed person, the person who no one sees, no one talks to, no one gives a second of their day toward. That's the kind of character she is at the start of this film. And I feel it's very relatable. Even if people really haven't had to deal with it, I think everybody knows about that type of person, whether they were on one side or another. I feel like that makes it very relatable in a lot of aspects. You have Wonder Woman herself, which the only downside to the movie that I can mention right now is the fact that there is only one scene in this entire movie that takes place at her home area, where with her being a little bit young, she's taking place in a race. And this race, she decides that she doesn't want to go the proper route. And she tries to make the best of a situation and take a shortcut. And it seems to work out fine, but then she gets stopped by, I want to say, someone who actually cares about her and is trying to teach her well. And I like that. In hero movies, you have a lot of hero movies where the people will fail. But if they fail a lot, or they fail at something that they desperately need to succeed, and it shows a valuable life lesson for that character, it can change the character. I mean, it can change a person too, depending on what that life lesson is. And I really like the scene. I wish there was more of that actually in the movie. More scenes that take place. Because after the opening scene, there isn't really much that gets involved there. There's a side story I'm not going to really talk about someone who protected their people before. I really won't get into that. Partially because I want to leave that as a surprise for people to watch. Because there's a cameo of somebody, which I will not state. But you probably can guess if you know. But it was really nice to see. I know the first movie has those sections, but it really just, it didn't feel out of place, shockingly. This movie flowed, for me personally, the movie flowed really well. I wasn't really out of it at all. There were some things, that just didn't seem right in the movie. Like there's plot holes. There's certain plot holes. But anyway, trying to focus here. So, you got obviously Wonder Woman as the main character here, and she has a job, which they do hint at in other movies. She's kind of, I think it was in Batman versus Superman, I believe, that it was hinted at. She goes to either that or Justice League, but maybe not Justice League. I think she was introduced in Justice League. She was at the end of Justice League. And then she was in quite a bit of Batman vs. Superman, but not enough to be her own movie. So, in Batman vs. Superman, she's all dressed up at a party of some sort, where Bruce Wayne is going to gather information on somebody. And she's all dressed up. And I think that's really the only connection to other movies here, other than the first one, is that kind of thing. You see her dressed up toward the beginning of the movie. She has a job. She's incorporated into the world as a normal person, per se. And on top of that, it's important to note as well that what she does as Wonder Woman, the people she saves and whatnot, seem to be a secret. No one really knows who she is. All they know is this mysterious woman has been saving people, which is very interesting, because I never really thought, like, you know, every superhero has kind of their starts. You know, you got Spider-Man. You know, who is this person saving all these people? You know, that kind of thing. But, and hopefully I'm not saying, you know, hopefully I'm not rambling too much. I'm trying to get my thoughts out. I'm trying to say as much as I can non-spoiler-wise before we get into spoiler-wise. But this movie, another way I like to describe this movie is you can't really spoil it. If you know Endgame, and you know, everyone knows, if you've seen Endgame, the one thing that you could say to spoil the entire movie to someone who hasn't seen it. This movie doesn't have something like that. And something I want to state, which I will cover in my spoiler section, this movie really doesn't have a villain. I don't think that's a bad thing. If you read the description on HBO Max, it says, fast forwarding to the 1980s as Wonder Woman's next big screen adventure finds her riding lightning across the sky, donning wings of gold and chasing a dream while in pursuit of two new formidable foes. It says formidable foes, which you could incorporate to villains. So you can have people you can name, but if you really look into this movie and you see, they're really not villains. No one in this movie is really a villain. You can technically name something a villain, but sorry about that. But I don't really think that there is an actual villain in this movie, at least that's on screen. I like this movie. Now, do I think this movie would get an Oscar? No. Superhero movies normally do not get Oscars. It has to be a very specific movie. I mean, Endgame even, I think it won Best Soundtrack, maybe. I don't quite remember. But it didn't win much. The only real superhero movies to win anything were Black Panther and Joker. I think there was another superhero movie that won something last year, but I do not quite remember. So not a lot of superhero movies get nominated for awards. So Wonder Woman, I do not think is gonna get an award of any sort. But I think that it does have some good messages. So I would say if you have HBO Max, or if you can get this at a low price if you're unsure, rent it. Watch it. I recommend it. I'd give this movie a B+. I really enjoyed it. Now, my enjoyment would be over a B+, but, I mean, for example, the movie Freaky, which I hopefully will want to do a movie review on in the future, that movie I liked more than this one. But they're very different movies. It's very hard to state a comparison between two very unlike movies. So when it comes to Wonder Woman 1984, I really liked it. I enjoyed it a lot more than the first one in my personal opinion. But I still give it a B+, just because it doesn't rank as high on my list as other movies. And I think that's where I have to kind of draw the line, is I can't really... I give it 5 out of 5 stars, but a B+, if that makes sense. Because 5 out of 5 stars, if it was like out of 10, I would be about like 6 or 7 out of 10. So, roughly the same. But it's very difficult, as I was saying, to compare unlike movies. So, and I think the only reason you can compare the original Wonder Woman to this is because they're in the same series. Otherwise, I think the movies are quite different, actually. But before I forget, we are going to wrap up the non-spoiler section right now. So thank you so much if you're checking out here. I appreciate you guys watching. Again, I give this movie a B+. I would recommend it. It is a fun time, and again, I cried. I don't cry at a lot of superhero movies. There's not a huge amount of superhero movies that will get me to cry. Sorry. It's midnight right now. I don't know why I am so tired. Some days I am not tired at all at midnight, and then some days I'm like, I'm so tired. But as I was saying, sorry, again, I get sidetracked. Endgame is one of the few superhero movies that got me to like really bawl. Infinity War was another one, but again, 10 years in the making. Guardians of the Galaxy did get me to cry. The second one, I don't know if the second one got me to cry, but the first one definitely did. And hopefully if I can do a movie review, I'll talk about the section, but it involves, if you've seen it, it involves a tree. And if you really don't know, if you've never seen Guardians of the Galaxy, then you know nothing about when I say a tree. But a tree, and toward the end of the movie, if you've seen it, that scene gets me every time. Most of the time, unless I'm just like not paying attention. But not many superhero movies get me to cry, so I think that the movie has to be something if it can get me to cry like that. And not once, but a couple of times. So anyway, into the spoiler section now.